weather. VOC.
On your show tonight, finding strength in adversity. Brain injury survivor Troy Adams has an RV, but his two legs will carry him right across this country.
And Mark Callanan pens a good poem. It's about time to see how he orates in the Battle of the Bards.
And welcome to Out of the Fog, everyone. Well, at 16 years old, Troy Adams had an excruciating, life-changing experience. It was a moment when he was thrown from a car on the way to work. And, you know, fewer injuries can instill as much fear in people as brain damage. And for a long time, Troy himself denied that's what he had.
Now that he admits that his symptoms of memory loss, anxiety, depression, and obsessive-compulsive disorder are indeed from a brain injury, Troy's finding strength and pride in what he's overcome. And he's actually on a mission to get others to feel the same way.
He's actually running across the country, starting right here in St. John's. And we're actually going to be speaking with Troy Adams shortly, and also on your program tonight. As much as Troy Adams seems to have found inspiration in the injury that could have held him back, local poet Mark Callanan also took a life-threatening medical emergency of the brain and turned it into an awakening, a literary awakening.
His newest poetry collection, called Gift Horse, was a Winterset Award nominee. We actually have a copy to give away, a signed copy, in fact, to give away tonight. And Mark Callanan he's now off to compete in the Battle of the Bards. Our intern, Aaron Williams, is stepping out from the back rooms of Out of the Fog in front of the camera to bring us this interview this evening.
And finally, a bit of groove to end our week. Disco's Down strikes an undeniable beat. And first up after this break, Troy Adams' journey began with a car crash. The next chapter starts with a first running step in St. John's.
VOCM, local.
At 16, Troy Adams was in a car crash that forever changed his life. And while most people would mark those changes as devastatingly life-altering, Troy has found strength in overcoming the symptoms that stem from his brain injury.
And he raises money for and the spirits of people who've also suffered similar afflictions. He just hit town to start his marathon across the country for brain injury awareness. I actually met up with him in his RV. He's going to call home from St. John's to Victoria, BC. Have a look. Troy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And welcome to St. John's. So this RV behind us is going to be your home for basically the next 9 months. It's going to take you to Victoria, BC, but mostly it's going to be your legs that do the work.
Yes, exactly that. I'm going to be running across Canada for brain injury awareness for Troy's Run Foundation.
So, like, it's, I mean, I'm not sure, how much running have you done in the past? Anything comparable to this at all?
No, not at all. I've been training for about 1.5 years now, but really training for probably the last 9 months or so.
Why don't we take a walk inside, if you don't mind? And,
yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk to you a bit about your story, about what you're trying to do.
Sounds good.
Cool, let's go have a look.
After you.
Thank you, sir. Oh yeah, not a bad way to travel. I guess you'll be outside for the majority of your trip.
Yeah, hopefully the wind dies down a little bit.
Yeah, well, it probably will when you leave the island. Until then, I can't make any promises.
Well, I'll deal with the sunshine that I get.
So I thought an interesting place to start would be just to hear a bit of your backstory. Can you tell us a little bit about the accident that you had when you were 16? What happened to you?
Yeah, it was August 11, 2003. And I was 16 years old at the time, like you said, a teenager. And I was working in Ontario, southwestern Ontario, at a plant, a foundry kind of thing, with my dad. I was on my way to work. I was working afternoons at the time. Mm-hmm. And with a group of friends in a smaller car, and it was raining heavily, and we lost control. I was in the front passenger seat, and I was thrown from the vehicle as it rolled. I woke up in the hospital kind of thing. I don't remember much, but I had brain injury, a lot of body injuries, and I spent about a week in the hospital, and then extensive months and months and months of therapy, years of therapy since. So.
And just a bit more about that, you know, your recovery, it's, you know, I'm not sure about the physical part, but I've been reading a bit about the brain injury part. And, you know, of course, a lot of the symptoms that you've had are things that you just can't see and are probably hard to diagnose. So can you just tell us a bit about what your recovery has been like?
Yeah, well, it's been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. The toughest thing with a brain injury, when because of my age, I think it had to do with my age, at least with my injury. Every injury is specific to its own. So I was 16, and I didn't want to be any different when I came out of the hospital than I was when I went in, basically, right? So when I healed, everybody said, you know, he's better. Okay, my wounds were gone. My scars were still showing, let's say, but my brain hadn't healed. But I didn't know that. And all the doctors kept telling me that, take it easy, take it easy, take it easy. And they tell you that, and they constantly remind you of that. But they're the only ones. And it's tough because you look in the mirror and you're no different. So again, now it's the longer, the more days that pass, the more weeks, the months that passed, I started showing more cognitive difficulties. Right. So things with the mind, depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive, anger problems, and you just don't know how to deal with it. But again, I wasn't willing to look people in the eye and say I have a brain injury. I was saying, you back off, I don't have a brain injury, because it's the fear of the unknown, and I didn't want to have a brain injury.
This, you know, your foundation raises money for brain injury associations in Canada.
Yeah.
I would talk, first of all, just tell us a bit about what was the money used for? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a variety of things, but you just briefly tell us what the funds are used for.
So I started Troy's Run Foundation. When I started this idea of the run, it was about a year and a half ago to a year ago, kind of thing. And I was first going to raise it just for the the Brain Injury Association of Canada. Started looking into it, and then I had a couple associations say, well, we can't actually help you out, or we can, and I was thinking, why can't everybody help out if it's just for a brain injury? I don't understand. So that's, you know, long story short, I came up with the idea, why not start my own foundation? And what I'm going to do is tell the survivor story, and I'm going to include other survivors, and I welcome any other survivors to share their story with Troy's Run. They are a part of Troy's Run Foundation. That includes the families. So then the money raised, I'm going to raise awareness for brain injury associations because they do a great job. But when I had my brain injury, I was never approached by a brain injury association. So up until the last 2 years, I didn't even know they existed. I'm not kidding you, I had no idea. So maybe it was my due diligence to maybe get online and search for them, but at the same time, why should I have to do that if I have a brain injury, right? Because again, it's almost like the victim. You're a victim by having a brain injury, and then you're having to go out of your way to search for answers. And I want to end that. I want to make everybody a survivor. And that's what we are. We're survivors. You're a survivor because you survived this magnificent, life-changing injury. But up until probably about 2 years ago, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I've got it so bad. You know, I'm a victim. And it's tough not to see that. But then it clicked when I started talking to other people with brain injuries. And some were in wheelchairs, some had little wheelchair that moved with a stick kind of thing. Yet their stories, in the end, were the same as mine. We all lost our best friends after a couple of years. We all suffered depression. Our marks fell off them, you know, and we suffered with jobs and whatnot. But yet, so our stories were the same, but our injuries were so much different.
Right. If there are people out there who have a story similar to yours, who are listening now, what would you like to say to them?
Share it. Don't hide it. I think it's that easy. Don't hide it. You're a survivor. And be proud of it, because you've come so far. So far. Looking back where I came from, man, it's brought tears in my eyes so many times, but yet I don't give myself credit. I'm known to never give myself enough credit for what I do. With this journey, everybody comes to me and says, this is incredible what you're doing. I'll be completely honest with you. I look at it like this running portion is the easiest thing about this run, okay? The toughest part for me is gonna be getting through it mentally, because every day is a battle for me and it's a struggle. And when I can't run on a certain day, let's say if I have really bad shin splints and I can't run, I become so depressed. And not depressed like the average runner gets depressed and says, oh bummer, I gotta take a day off. I'm not on those pills anymore to fall back on that keep me, my chemicals in my brain all functioning. You know, that's what running does for me. So I take it really to heart and I get really upset. And so it's just finding that line. You know, that, and I say it's that moment of zen for me when I'm running, and it's like, that's why I run the distances I run. It's not for, so I look great or I am in, you know, great mood. It's because it works for my brain. You know, that's the story I want to share with everyone, and that's what I hope, you know, if you have a brain injury, share it and be as positive as you can.
All right, man, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely.
And safe travels.
Thank you so much.
Well, Troy definitely has quite the story.
He
and
does.
he actually left us some really nice T-shirts to give away, so make sure you give us a call. The number is 757-9600 to wear some of his garb in support of Troy's run.
And actually, if you'd like to learn more about Troy's Run and perhaps even make a little donation, it's certainly for a good cause, check out troysrun.com. You'll get all the information you need right there. Right now, we're going to take a short break, but we will be right back with a piece from our intern, Aaron Williams. Mark Callanan took off. Aaron Williams sat down to have a chat with him at the rooms about the competition and the surprise